All right, we're going to go live for the show in just a few moments here. Just finalizing some things up. Prep work. It's going to be a fairly short show tonight. Only one noteworthy fight happened last weekend, and I haven't seen anything this weekend that looks worth it, so you won't be too long tonight. All right, that's good enough. We got a few people in. All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, and welcome to episode number 142 of the WMMA Report regular show, where we go over everything that's going on in the world of the women's divisions of mixed martial arts. Tonight, we're going to talk about Lee versus Ham. Most likely, it's going to happen in May in the U.S. At least that's the vibes I'm getting. Got a couple of UFC returnees in Casey O'Neill, who actually has a fight booked now. And then we have Tatiana Suarez says she's coming back. We'll see. And then I want to talk about a little bit about B-side versus A-side in MMA. And I'm going to give an example that I saw recently that kind of irked me a little bit. And let's keep the A-side versus B-side BS to boxing, because it's pretty easy to, you should know what you are in MMA. So let's get started. First up, we've got the weekend results. Just want to talk about this one for a second. Jillian Robertson defeated Rose Namajunas via rear naked choke in only 65 seconds at Fury Grappling 6. Good for Jillian. Hey, it was a nice work. Took Rose, got Rose down to the ground with ease, hopped on her back, sunk in that rear naked choke. Robertson made that look absolutely easy. Now, I've seen some people, they're making okay, looks like I thought I had unmuted and it's still muted. Anyway, some people seem to be making a big deal out of this loss for Rose. And I don't get it. Like, they're saying, oh, she's wrecked. Just keeps racking up L's. She's gone. This is just a grappling bout. This is like something to do in between fights. I don't see it being that big of a deal. I mean, she went in there at 135 pounds against Robertson, who normally fights at a weight class above her. And I don't see the big deal. And I've seen people like, why would you take a grappling match at 135 pounds? Because she didn't feel like cutting weight. And it's not like Jillian's a huge flyweight. So Jillian probably didn't feel like cutting weight either. I mean, it's not MMA, so who cares what you weigh in it for? This is just something to do to stay busy between fights, because neither of them have fights scheduled right now. I don't think Jillian Robertson does. But nice win for Jillian, but I think people are making a way too big a deal out of Rose losing here. Then we have Rizin 40. Seika Izawa defeated Shiyu Park in the finals of the Rizin 2022 Super Atomweight Grand Prix. Split decision win for Seika Izawa. I did a full review on this fight. Feel free to go check it out after the stream. I didn't agree with the decision. Certainly not under Rizin scoring. Park was the only one actually doing any real damage, and she was the closest one to finishing, particularly in the third round, when that should, normally the way Rizin scoring work, third round counts more than anything. I think Rizin, I guess, changed the way they score, like the way they award scoring. They changed it up earlier this year, and I think it's fucked. So there you have it. I think they messed it up. Yeah, I just don't agree with the scoring on this one. It's not a robbery. It was a very close fight. I just disagree with the way it scored. I thought Park should have got the win. But I said this in my review video for the fight, and I still believe this. Ryzen had every intention, or not every intention. Ryzen absolutely wanted a Japanese fighter to win this Grand Prix. And they were going to make sure it happened. You can call me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but we're talking WMMA, which has been beyond shady in the past, and nothing would surprise me. They wanted a Japanese fighter to win this every step of the way in this tournament. They made sure that a Japanese fighter was going to get through. And every step of the way in this tournament, they set up the Japanese fighters with the easiest fights, at least on paper. Park was the only foreigner out of the quarterfinals to make it all the way through, which, says a lot about just how much she has improved in the past year or two, since moving to Japan and when COVID broke out. Now, she didn't train in Japan for this fight. She was back in Korea for this one, but still, her overall improvement as a fighter is really commendable. So, just did not agree with the scoring on this bout. Easy E says, so I've said this before, Rose getting dominated by Robertson isn't the problem. Jillian is a beast on the ground. I saw it coming. The problem was her post-match interview. I didn't watch it. I don't. Colostrum says, we're judging. I also thought AJ McKee lost his fight in Ryzen. I didn't think the scoring was too bad in that one. The other robbery, the real robbery that night was Suchol Kim against Juan Archuleta. That, to me, was atrocious judging. And, again, call me conspiracy theorist if you want. But it's funny that the two weirdest scorings in that night were the two Korean fighters fighting in Japan. And Korean fighters have a long history of getting wins in Japan. Koreans have a long history of having a hard time getting decision wins in Japan, is what I should say. It's never been easy. Brian Williams, fist bumping colostrum. Easy E says the excuses, the dismissiveness, her overall vibe, not in a good headspace. Call me crazy. I don't see Rose competing for titles anymore. I don't think she wants to. I honestly don't think Rose wants to compete for titles anymore. I think on the outside she does because that's what she's supposed to. I don't think she likes being champ. I don't think she likes all the extra attention. I don't think she likes having all that pressure. I just think Rose likes the idea of being the best fighter out there, but that also comes with being the champion, and I don't think she's ever really taken well to being a champion. That goes all the way back to when she cut her hair. A lot of people think the reason she cut her hair was because it was to just take some of the attention off of her. Sponsors were after her. They were trying to push her every which way. And I think her cutting her hair was a bit of a a way of rebelling against that. Some people think it was a slight against Paige Van Zandt ahead of their fight because, PVZ was embroiled in that controversy where she said she was going to cut her hair. She got to the UFC and she never did. So people thought Rose was doing that as a slight. I think Rose was rebelling against how much the UFC was pushing her. And they were pushing her hard ever since The Ultimate Fighter 20 back in 2014. Colostrum says, Brian, you follow me? LMAO, what's up, bro? Where were you two guys at before that? Brian Williams, I agree, Easy E, and I'm a Rose fan. Also, Brian, I just meant about the interview. I think Rose could easily be champ at 115 again. If she wants to, I think she can. I think she can still beat Whaley. Colostrum, How do you think a fight with Lemos and Wei Li will go? Like, who got the advantages in what areas, in your opinion? Well, I think Wei Li's the overall better fighter. I think she mostly has to avoid the power shots of Lemos. And she has to be careful if she takes it to the ground because Lemos is quick to snatch up submissions, particularly the guillotine. So she has to be very careful when attempting to take Lemos down if she wants it to go to the ground. But on the feet, she's overall very technical. And I think she has what it takes to win. Now, Wei Li's defense overall leaves me questioning things. But I think overall she's the best. She's absolutely the better overall striker than Lemos. Lemos, all she throws big power punches that are televised. So I think Lemos can win against Wei Li, but I would favor Wei Li. Easy E says if Lemos touches her clean, it's night night. Yeah. Lemos and all of her Brazilian pharmaceuticals absolutely has power behind her. So anyway, that was it for the weekend results. So let's move into the news. And there's not a lot of news going on this week because, I mean, it's the first week of the year. And most everything that's going on has already been announced for the next couple of months. But first up, Combat FC3 goes down February 10th in Wilmington, Massachusetts. Going to be broadcast on UFC Fight Pass, which is why I decided to include it. They have a bantamweight bout. Kylie O'Hearn taking on Kelly Clayton. Both of those ladies come in with 2-2 records. Kelly Clayton, I thought she had fought more than once for Invicta, but she's only fought once for them, from what I can see. But that's a ladies bout going down February 10th on UFC Fight Pass. And I know most of you have Fight Pass. In other news, Combate Global has signed 30-year-old bantamweight Nicole Aguirre. She's a 3-1 amateur fighter. Most likely she'll move down to flyweight for a pro debut. Some unfortunate news, injury news. Aries FC 11 title fight between champ Ivana Siric and the challenger Evelina Wozniak has been canceled due to an injury to Wozniak. That was supposed to happen in, I think, like 2 weeks, and it was going to go down on UFC Fight Pass. That was the co-main event. Unfortunate news. You know, the women's flyweight title bout is off. Challenger suffered an injury. There are, however, still 2 other ladies bouts on that card, and it's on UFC Fight Pass. I like Aries FC 11. I think they got a lot going for them. Good matchups, exciting fights, definitely worth checking out. So that goes down. I check my calendar. That goes down Friday, January 20th on Fight Pass. So definitely check that out. Peak Fighting 26 goes down February 11th in Texas. They got a catchweight bout. A couple of Invicta veterans here. Natalia Spies taking on Chantel Coates. Spies is 2-3. Coates is 3-3. So pretty even up records there. And that's at a catchweight. I know Spies normally fights at, I believe, flyweight. Coates normally a bantamweight. But should be one to check out. And then final bit of news I have for you tonight. UAE Warriors goes down 35, or excuse me, UFC Warriors. All right, let's try that again. UAE Warriors 35 goes down February 25th in Abu Dhabi, and it's another Fight Pass event. Have a strawweight bout between 2 undefeated fighters that are up and coming. Josephine Lundgren-Knudsen taking on Jacinta Austin. Both of these ladies come in at 4-0. Now, Knudsen last fought, I believe her last fight was on one of the Road to UFC events. Austin has a win over Lisa Kiriakou down there in Australia. And I think Kiriakou is an upcoming fighter. Both these ladies, very upcoming. Keep an eye on these two. That goes down February 25th on Fight Pass in Abu Dhabi. So 2 undefeated legit prospects from what it looks like so far. So that is it for the news for tonight. Let's go to the chat. How did I know you would go there about Lemos and her supplements? LOL. It's the truth. Mojo says, sup, Brian Williams and Colostrum. Well, welcome to the chat, Mojo. Colostrum says, what's up? Back to Brian. Mojo. Yeah, had some technical difficulties, said Brian Williams. Stupid mute button. Brian Williams saying, what's up to Mojo? So I like the camaraderie going on in the chat. I like a good active chat. It definitely makes the stream more interesting. So now that the news is over, let's talk rankings. There's no events going on, so no real reason to talk about them. But I want to discuss the rankings because it is the new year. It's the first show of the new year, first week of the new year. So we got to, let's just go over the rankings a little bit ahead of anything that happens this year. So women's strawweight got Zahn as the champ in the UFC. Esparza is at number 1. Now, personally, I don't think a former champion who lost her title should be number 1, but that's the goofy UFC rankings panel for you. I think they should be number 4 at best because they're not the number 1 contender unless there's been talk about a immediate rematch. So I love Carla Esparza, but she shouldn't be at number 1 because she just lost her title. Namajunas at 2. We don't know when she's next fighting. Lemos at 3. We're not sure when she's fighting next, but most likely she's going to be the next title challenger. Andrade is fighting at flyweight next month, I believe, or maybe it's this month. Rodriguez at 5. She's coming off a loss to Lemos. Yan Xiaonan, she doesn't have a fight booked yet. Mackenzie Dern, I don't think she's booked either. Tisha Torres is out for a while. She's preggers. Amanda Hebos is next fighting at flyweight, and I don't think she should be ranked at strawweight if she's going to be fighting at flyweight. Neither should Andrade, honestly. Well, at least Andrade is coming off of a strawweight bout. Man, this top 10 is weird. This is a weird top 10 right now for the UFC strawweights. Waterson Gomez at 11, coming off that loss to Lemos. I don't think she's booked right now. Angela Hill is hoping to get a fight soon. Luana Pinheiro. Man, there's not a lot of these fighters that are booked right now, is there? What is going on with the strawweight division right now? Pinheiro, still undefeated in the UFC. The verdict's out on her for me, and I'm not sure why she's ranked. Ducote at 14, coming off a loss to Angela Hill. Oh, I was really disappointed with that. And then Poliana Viana at number 15. She's coming off a win fairly recently, so that's strawweight. Man, got to get some strawweight fights booked. Let's go. We have flyweight. We got the champ, Valentina Shevchenko. Number 1, Manon Fiorot is out injured and avoiding even talking about the champ. Got Tyler Santos, who is next fighting number 10, Aaron Blanchfield. That's going to be an interesting bout. I think that is, I'm excited about that one. Caitlin Chukagian, I don't think she's booked right now at number 3. Number 4, Lauren Murphy is next fighting number 6, Jessica Andrade. So that should be a good one. Andrade still ranked at flyweight, although she's coming off of a strawweight win. So in my personal opinion, she shouldn't be ranked at flyweight if she most recently fought at strawweight. Got Araujo at number 7. She's next fighting, I want to say Amanda Hebos down there at number 15. So they're really trying to push Hebos up and Araujo out of the top 10. Number 8, Jennifer Maia. She's going to be taking on Casey O'Neill. That fight just got, I believe that fight is now official. That should be a good one. That's a stern test for Casey O'Neill. Casey O'Neill has a lot of haters out there because, she's not afraid to speak her mind and, big up herself. But that's a stern test for O'Neill. Number 9, Andrea Lee. I don't think she has a fight booked. Let me check. Oh, Andrea Lee is fighting Macy Barber on March 25th. Barber is number 12. So you've got number 9 taking on number 12, which is fair. I think that's a fair move. Of course, number 10, Aaron Blanchfield is getting to fight number 2, Tyler Santos. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. That's a big step up. Man, I hope Blanchfield's ready. Then you got number 11, Casey O'Neill, who we already said is fighting number 8, Jennifer Maia. Tracy Cortez, her fight just got canceled. She was pulled. The doctors pulled her from her fight. She was supposed to fight Amanda Hebos. Don't know what's going on with her. Cynthia Calvillo at 14. But I think she's talking about possibly moving back down to strawweight, which I think would be the right move for her. Then Amanda Hebos at number 15. We already said she's fighting Viviane Araujo at number 7. So flyweight has a lot of action going on. A lot of fights booked in this first quarter. Don't know what's going on with strawweight, but flyweight's bringing the action right now. Take a look at the champ. Colostrum says Pena lost chunk for forehead and still number 1. We're going to talk about that in a sec. Who do you want to see Yasmin Howard fight next? Ooh, that's a good question. Let me come back to that. Remind me later on. Easy E. Word is Suarez coming back at 125, but only temporarily. In my opinion, she should stay at 125 because she has a chance to pretty much jump everyone with a good performance. We can talk about Suarez a little bit later. Brian Williams. UFC rankings don't necessarily mean number 1 contender for the belt. It's kind of funny that way. Practically speaking, Lemos is the number 1 contender. I agree. And that is the biggest fault with how these rankings are being done. Because I'm going to take your comment down for a second, Brian. But if you have the champion outside of the rankings, here's how this is supposed to be done. This is how it's usually done in boxing. But the UFC gives out the rankings. Puts them in charge of the morons in the paid MMA media. If the champion is outside of the rankings, then the number 1 ranked fighter should be the number 1 contender. That's who should be in the number 1 spot. So if Shevchenko is outside the rankings, then number 1 should be the number 1 contender, which in this case, it kind of is with Manon Fiora. And then number 2 should be like the next one up for the title, technically. But that's not how it happens in the UFC, which is stupid. The way that the rankings get applied in the UFC, the champion should be the number 1. Because they don't treat the number 1 fighter like the number 1 contender. It's absolutely stupid the way they look, the way they work, the way they do this. It's stupid. Number 1 should be the number 1 contender if the champion is outside of the rankings. If the champion is inside the rankings, then she should be number 1. But the way that the so-called media panel does it, it's stupid. Easy E says it's been said she really wants Val too. I'm guessing that's about Suarez. Colostrum, they need to go ahead and give Lemos her title shot. She's 36. Yeah. Brian Williams agrees with Colostrum. Easy E, her and Patchy are doing an interview soon on another platform. And she said she's spilling the beans on what's next when she comes back. Is that about Suarez? Colostrum, Brian, they should put Lemos and Whaley on the London card. They're not going to put those two on a London card. Brian Williams, Cortez was having a depressive episode. Yeah, but she said that was due to being pulled from the fight. If you listen to the interview she did after, she said the depression was mostly directed because of being pulled from the fight. Like, that wasn't why the doctors pulled her. We still don't have a word on why she was pulled from the fight. Easy E, Colostrum, who can you see really beating Pena right now, though, except for Amanda? A number of fighters, honestly. Colostrum, Brian Tracy looked happy in a crowd when that camera shined on her. Yeah, she's very good at putting on an act for the cameras. That's for sure. Colostrum says Josiane Nunes could beat Pena. Brian says, I agree, Colostrum, but that's what she said. Brian says Tracy ain't fooling nobody. Brian Williams agrees with me on the rankings. Mojo says, give Lemos a title shot. Let Marina fight JJ. If she does come back, then Rose. JJ's not coming back. She got absolutely destroyed. She's not coming back. Then Rose versus Yan Xiaonan. That's if Rose wants to fight. Easy E says, at Colostrum, good fight, but I don't see her beating Pena. Never know. And Brian Williams says, oh, that chick is pregnant then. I think that was the rumor when the fight got pulled. When Tracy got pulled from the fight against Hebos, the rumor was that she was pregnant, which, well, that was speculation, we'll say. People were speculating could be that she's pregnant. Let's move on to UFC bantamweight. So you got the champ, Amanda Nunes, Julianne Pena at number 1. And again, she got absolutely demolished in the rematch. Dominated. She shouldn't be number 1 right now. Number 2, Ketlen Vieira. Listen, Ketlen Vieira is the first fighter to beat Holly Holm in quite a while. She should be number 1. I would not have a problem with Ketlen Vieira being number 1 right now. Pena should not be number 1. She just lost the title. And there's no talk right now of an immediate rematch. So, Holly Holm at 3. Listen, you got to beat Holly to get past her. That's the problem. Number 4, Irene Aldana. Now, these 3, Ketlen, Holm, and Aldana, they're in that weird triangle because Holm beat Aldana, who beat Vieira, who beat Holm. So you've got this weird triangle going on right now. And it's all about which of these 3, well, really, which of the 2, Vieira or Aldana, is more likely to get the next title shot. Holm actually has a fight booked against number 6, Yana Kunitskaya. So Holm is booked. Raquel Pennington's at number 5. I think she might have a fight booked. Let me check real quick. Pennington's booked against Ketlen Vieira in next weekend. Okay, so I forgot all about that one. So Vieira at number 2 is going to be fighting Raquel Pennington at number 5. Winner of that could easily be next for the title if you dismiss Aldana because of the loss to Holm. So then, of course, we already mentioned number 6, Yana Kunitskaya, is fighting number 3, Holly Holm. Number 7, Penny Kianzad. I believe Kianzad has a fight booked right now. I didn't make any notes on this. So, nope, Kianzad doesn't have a fight booked. Number 8, Macy Chasson. I don't believe she has a fight booked either. Macy does not have a fight booked. She's coming off a loss to Irene Aldana. Number 9, Carol Hosa. Does she have a fight booked? She does not have a fight booked either. Number 10, Misha Tate. No fight booked right now. So bantamweight's not as bad as strawweight in that there are some fights booked right now, but there are a lot of fighters that need fights. Number 11, Julia Vila. She hasn't come back from pregnancy yet that I know of. Check though, because I'm forgetful. Raging Panda, 9-2, does not have a fight booked. Lena Landsberg, I don't think she's booked. Number 13, Norma Dumont, who has never actually made bantamweight. That's stupid rankings. 14, Myra Bueno Silva. She should be number 13 since Norma Dumont can't make weight. And then 15, Josiane Nunes, who is wrecking chicks. And none of those last 3 are booked right now, I don't think. So bantamweight has a lot of fighters that need some fights coming up. UFC needs to get on it. So that's the UFC rankings. By the way, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Let's see. Mojo says Aldana versus Nunes is the most interesting bantamweight fight to me. I agree. Aldana can make it interesting on the feet. Easy E. I say Pena is not an easy match for anyone else simply because she has decent enough boxing to hang on the feet, and no one else in those rankings is a threat on the ground, in my educated opinion. Okay. Mojo says, or Aldana versus Pena. Easy E. Pena would easily out-wrestle most of those girls. I'm not so sure on that. I'm not sure that she would out-wrestle Ketlin Vieira. And she has to get them down to out-wrestle them. Says, Colostrum, Easy E. Pena can't submit Josiane because she ain't got no neck. She doesn't have a neck. Todd Johnson, welcome to the chat. Says, love the show. Just subscribe, brother. Well, thank you, Todd. And Brian Williams says Holly beats Pena in his opinion. I think Holly does beats Pena as well. So let's move on to bantamweight, or excuse me, Bellator flyweight. Some stanky rankings. Man, this division needs some new life breathed into it as well. Got the champ, Liz Carmouche. Former champ, Juliana Velasquez. Again, just lost to the champ. Shouldn't be number 1. Conor Watanabe, who's at number 2. She got knocked out by the champ. When you get beat up on the feet by Liz Carmouche, you got problems in your stand-up. That's for sure. Former champ Alimale McFarlane at number 3. Why? Deanna Bennett at number 4, which is weird because the only fighter she's really been able to beat is at number 9, Justine Kitch. Denise Kielholtz, she's coming off a loss to Conor Watanabe, if I remember correctly. I think Kielholtz has a fight booked. No. I'm not remembering things very well tonight. Pull up Denise. Kilos is coming off a loss to number 7, Ilara Joanny. So 5 is coming off of a loss to number 6. Number 6, Vida Ortega. Does she have a fight booked right now? Say she has a fight booked. No, she's coming off of a win over number 10, Vanessa Porto, back in July. So Vida Ortega hasn't fought in a half a year, which is no surprise for Bellator. You got number 7, Laura Joanny, who was unranked before this, coming off that win over Denise Kielholtz. Then you got Sumiko Inaba at number 8, the only undefeated fighter in Bellator women's roster that I can think of. But she shouldn't be at number 8 because she has 0 ranked wins, and her last fight was against someone with an upside-down record. And hey, I like Sumiko Inaba. I think she looks very promising as a fighter, but she shouldn't be ranked right now. Justine Kish coming in at number 9. She has 2 straight losses to Deanna Bennett. Why they did the second fight, the rematch, no idea. I thought that was goofy as hell. And then we got number 10, Vanessa Portos, coming off the loss to Vida Ortega. Porto came to Bellator way too late in her career. Porto was the Invicta champ, and then she had a bad fight against Karina Rodriguez that had Rodriguez missed weight. So the fight went from a 5-round title fight to a 3-round fight. And Porto eked out a decision. But man, had that been a title fight, had it gone on for 2 more rounds, Porto would have lost. And then I think it was like right after that was when she got signed to Bellator. Let me check. Yeah, right after that, she got signed to Bellator. Her first fight was against Carmouche. Lost the decision to Carmouche. Eked out a split decision over Ilara Joanny, but then gets submitted in the second round against Ortega. Porto came to Bellator too late in her career. I'm telling you. Then we got Bellator featherweight. They can only muster 6 fighters and plus the champ for a top 10. Listen, I understand that there are people out there that really want to see a featherweight division succeed. Anyone that tells you regarding women's featherweight, the old adage from, the Field of Dreams movie, if you build it, they will come. Bellator has tried. They've been trying for years now. And this is what you get. They can't even fill out a top 10 because there are too many fighters with 500 records, even up records or losing records. Bellator tried to build a featherweight division, and this is what you get. They can't fill out a top 10. So anyone that tries to tell you if you build it, they will come regarding women's featherweight, those kind of people are just, I don't know. I don't think they can be reasoned with. Because they'll see the history of what's going on. They'll see what's going on currently. They'll see the history of the division. And they'll still say, if you build it, they will come. If you give fighters opportunities. Bellator has been giving fighters opportunities. Again, this is what you have. So you got the champ, Chris Cyborg. She's off boxing. Ketzengano's number 1. Shouldn't be number 1. But she's only at number 1 because that's the fight everybody wants to see. They want to see Zingano get murdered against Cyborg. Frankly, I'm not into watching snuff films. So that fight holds no interest to me. Arlene Blenko at number 2. The best fighter in that division, I'll say right now, outside of Cyborg. Sinead Kavanaugh at number 3. She's taking on Arlene Blencoe, she's taking on Janae Harding next in February, next month. What day is that? Bellator 291 goes down February 25th, which features event actually has 3 ladies fights, but pertinent to this, Sinead Kavanaugh taking on Janae Harding in a rematch. Janae Harding won the first bout back in Bellator 207 in October of 2018. Sinead Kavanaugh suffered a cut, and the doctors stopped it, giving Kavanaugh the TKO, or giving Harding the TKO win. So those two are rematching next month. And Harding's not even ranked right now. She's coming off of 2 straight losses. Leah McCourt's at number 4. Is she booked for next month? No, she doesn't have a fight booked for some reason. She's not fighting on the Ireland card. Number 5, Pam Sorensen. And then number 6, Diana Silva. She's coming off a loss to Leah McCourt back in September. So that's it. That's women's featherweight in Bellator. Let's go to the chat. Colostrum says that Brian agreed. I can hear Holly up now. Now up against the cage, punching Pena, saying itch, itch, itch. Yeah. Brian says he's hopeful for that. Brian Williams says Denise on a skid. Yeah, she's lost 2 straight. Easy E says get McFarland out of there already. Hashtag pineapple ice cream princess. Yeah, you'll get no disagreement from me. I don't dislike McFarland, but it's like you've been talking about retirement for how long now? What are you waiting on? Brian Williams says Deanna needs to call out Carmouche. What's Deanna Bennett at right now? Number 4. She should. She needs to call out Carmouche right now because that's the only matchup in the top 5 that makes sense. Everyone else is coming off a loss. Or no, Watanabe's coming off of a win over Killholtz, but she's not going to get a rematch against Carmouche right now. McFarland, keep her away from the title. Killholtz riding 2 straight losses, and Bennett, yeah. Bennett's the only one in the top 5 you could make a reason to give a title shot to right now. That's sad. That division's sad too. He says really disappointed in Denise Killholtz. Killholtz should be fighting at flyweight. She's too small for flyweight. Even Bellator's flyweight, she's too small for that division. But her success just tells you how good she could be. Mojo, yes, Brian, vitamin D is 38. She needs to make a go of it now. Yeah, her and I think Carmouche is 38 too. Easy E, if there was any real talent at featherweight, the UFC would have built it when they had the chance years ago. Yeah. Possibly. I'm not sure UFC ever had any intention of building up featherweight. I think they were just looking to get a return on investment from Cyborg. Because here's the thing. There was a period for several fights when Cyborg was still in Invicta, but she was under contract with the UFC. So Cyborg was under contract with the UFC, but fighting in Bellator. Or fighting for Invicta. So UFC was spending money that they weren't getting a real return on investment from. So they brought Cyborg in, hoping to get that ROI. Now, whether or not they ever planned on building a featherweight division, I have my doubts. I think it was just always meant to be a vanity division. Just to give Cyborg fights to make money off of her. And get that money back that they spent on her. So finally, for the rankings, we go to one championship, their women's atomweight division. Got the champ, Angela Lee, number 1 ranked fighter, Stamp Fairtex, who again, she lost to the champ. So she shouldn't be number 1. And she beat, now she's coming off a win over the fighter who was at the time number 5, which was Gian Radzwan. Radzwan lost that bout, and she's not even ranked anymore. So Stamp's only ranked win currently, the only fighter that is currently ranked that Stamp has a win over is Aliona Rasohina. And she hasn't been active since she lost to Stamp in the rematch. And no idea when she's coming back, because she's in Ukraine. Number 2, Hamsahi. Most likely they're going to book Ham and Angela next, which we're going to discuss in a minute. Number 3, Denise Sambo Anga, coming off of a win over, who did Denise fight? Somebody unranked. Denise got a split decision over Lin Hachin, who was unranked, I believe. So she's still there at number 3. Aliona Rasohina, we already talked about, at number 4, but hasn't fought since 2000. I want to say 2020, maybe 2021. Aliona, 2020 or 2021? 2021. She hasn't fought since September of 2021, so over a year of inactivity. She only has 2 fights in one championship, both against Stamp Fairtex. So then number 5, Tiffany Teo, who's new to the division after moving down Ritu Fogat. Okay, Fogat was unranked at the time. Teo beat her. They take Radzwan off of the rankings after losing to number 1 Stamp Fairtex and replace with Tiffany Teo. I don't agree, but that's how it is. So those are your rankings for one championship. They don't even have rankings for 125 pounds right now because they don't really have a division at 125 outside of the champ, which is kind of sad. All right, let's go to the chat. Oh, I already did that one. Easy E says, I want Lee to lose her belt only because I know the excuses are going to be epic. Oh. Especially if it's by decision. A close split decision, and she loses her belt in a split decision. Oh, the butthurt will be real. Brian Williams says, man, Easy E, Stamp had her beat but got too close. Stamp, yeah, she got too close. She started headhunting again. Angela Lee. She hurt her to the body. Angela Lee basically ran to the other side of the cage. Hurt. And Stamp started headhunting. She should have mixed the strikes to the head and to the body while the body was still hurt. But she allowed Angela to get a hold of her and recover, and then Angela submitted her in the second round. Stamp could have won that fight. All right, so that's it for the rankings. So I need to go grab some water real quick. So we're going to take a short break here. I'm going to put that up. All right. So we are back. Let me take that banner down. So, going to move into the discussion in a second. Let me see. We've got a couple chats. Mojo says Stamp's fight IQ cost her the fight with Lee. Yeah. And Easy E, I can just hear Lee now. I was defending myself. How could you stop it? That would be hilarious. Oh. So speaking of Lee and Sahiham, not only is this fight most likely the next one that One Championship is going to be made or is going to make, I'm almost 100% positive that it's going to happen in May in Denver, Colorado, when One Championship comes to the U.S. for the first time. And I've got a couple examples to show you. So let me pull those up real quick here. All right, first up is an article from One Championship. It says 3 fights we want to see in 2023 by Jay Furness. This was just a couple days ago. And this is on onefc.com, by the way. It says 3 MMA fights we want to see in 2023. The second one is literally Angela Lee versus Ham Sahi. It says, although Ham Sahi's year ended with disappointment when her bout with Itsuki Hirata was canceled after Hirata missed weight, she remains one of the most exciting contenders in the atomweight division. Excuse me. Now ranked number 2, the South Korean veteran has made a good case to challenge reigning 1 women's atomweight world champion Angela Lee in her next bout. Lee has already beaten number 1 ranked Stamp Fairtex, while Ham's ferocious striking style would make for a rousing battle with the durable Singaporean American title holder. She's not Singaporean, come on. As Unstoppable has continually improved her own striking to complement her formidable ground game. Not really. But Ham has the experience to hang with anybody, and her never quit attitude means she would push the reigning queen from bell to bell. The only guaranteed outcome would be an absolute thriller between two of the greatest women's MMA fighters on the planet. Listen, this is on One Championship's website. Now, some people have said, well, they take these articles from elsewhere and then put them on the website. I'm almost positive that they pay these articles to be written, and then they're usually put elsewhere, like Forbes, which will publish just about anything. So for this to be on One Championship's website, you know this is the fight. It basically lets you know, like, hey, this is the fight we're looking at making. But then there's this other article. Let me pull that up real quick here. And here's why I think this is going to happen in Denver, in Colorado. Let me pull it up real quick here. It says 5 fights we want to see at the historic One on Prime Video 10 fight card in the USA. This is by Ben Coates, and this is a month old. I've been meaning to talk about it, just haven't brought it up yet. But here we go. It says the wait is finally over for martial arts fans in the United States. On May 5th, 2023, One Championship will touch down in Broomfield, Colorado, which is like a section of Denver, to hold its first ever card on American soil. Headlined by arguably the biggest fight in the promotion's history, the main event of One on Prime 10 will feature the highly anticipated world title trilogy bout between one flyweight world champion Demetrius Johnson and former divisional king Adriano Moraes. But beyond that blockbuster clash, what other exciting matchups could be scheduled for One Championship's big debut on U.S. soil? Below, we look at 5 possible fights for the historic event. So number 4, you guessed it, Angela Lee versus Ham Sahi. Says longtime one women's atomweight world champion Angela Lee is already known worldwide for her unending tenacity and dangerous submission attack, making her one of the promotion's most popular athletes. For her first ever bout in North America, the Hawaii resident could square off with longtime star and number 2 ranked atomweight contender Ham Sahi. A veteran of over 30 career fights, the South Korean has earned her reputation as an entertaining action fighter and a brawler who refuses to take a step backward. A world title contest between Lee and Ham has the makings of an unforgettable war, and it would be the ideal matchup to showcase one's atomweight division to a live U.S. audience. Again, this is straight on OneFC.com, One Championship's website. Also, look who was the first one they mentioned. Christian Lee versus Sagid Izagakmeev. One championship wants the Lees to spearhead their way into the U.S. I mean, yeah, they have Mighty Mouse is already scheduled to headline because he's like, their only fighter right now, most well known from the UFC. But they want the Lees to spearhead, to really be the spearhead into the U.S. They've already beat up the Lees enough in Singapore, beating Singaporeans over the head with the Lees. Now they're going to finally acknowledge, hey, these two have been living in the U.S. for most of their lives in Hawaii. So, yeah. Ham versus Lee, most likely happening in May in Hawaii. They're basically letting you know now. That's what they're doing right here. That's what One Championship is doing. They're letting you know exactly what their intentions are with these articles. So if this fight gets scheduled any earlier than May, I will be surprised. Now, personally, it's a little disappointing because hasn't fought since May of last year. Or was it February of last year? Or March. I think it was March of last year she last fought. Now, granted, she was supposed to fight, and she said, no, I'm not going to fight Hirata because she can't make weight. I understand it, but a part of me kind of does wish she would have taken that fight to stay active. Because now she's going into May over a year without fighting against the champ, who, let's be honest here, Lee is going to be a lot bigger than Ham in there. I have zero doubt that Lee will be the bigger fighter come fight time. And Lee actually fought more recently, had a very close fight against Seong Jin Nan in, September. So Lee has been more active recently. So, yeah. Lee versus Ham, most likely happening in Colorado in May at 1 on Prime Video 10. Let's go to the chat. Colostrum says, which girls in one do you want to see fight in the UFC? I'd like to see Lee get humbled in the UFC against real 115-pounders. That's the one. But honestly, I'd like to see the UFC open up an actual atomweight division and see how the ladies in one do. If at an actual, well, we'd see which ones can actually make atomweight, which we know that there are some fighters in one that can't make atomweight. So I'd like to see that happen. We'd see which ones could and can't actually make atomweight. Marcus Bell, welcome to the chat. I'm surprised to see you here, man. But welcome. Breaking news, Cynthia Calvillo will take on Lupita Godinez on April 8th. Whoa, let me I got to go to Twitter. Looking like it's true. For Carlos Contreras Legaspi. Let me pull it over. I got to pull this up real quick. For Carlos Contreras Legaspi, who is a good source on Twitter. Per sources, Lupita Godinez versus Cynthia Calvillo added to UFC's April 8th event. It will be Calvillo's comeback to the 115-pound division via ESPN Deportes. So that's Spanish version of ESPN. Come on, Internet. Let's go. So I'm not seeing it on ESPN Deportes. It's disappointing. So that's interesting. But that's a good fight. That's a good fight. And Godinez is unranked. And that's the kind of fight that Calvillo needs to fight if she's going to move back down to strawweight. And we got to see if she can make strawweight. She was having weight troubles there. So we got to see if she can make strawweight and how good she'll do. And I like that fight. Ooh, Godinez versus Calvillo. I like that. Thank you, Marcus Bell, for the breaking news. Brian Williams asks at 115 or 125. And Marcus says at 115. All right. So, Easy E. Weird question maybe. I'm really into championship belts and I collect them. Who do you think has the best belt design today in MMA? Ooh. Best belt design today. I liked One Championship's old belt design. The new one, the giant thing, I don't like it, but I thought their old belt design was nice. I think Invicta has nice belts as well. Deep Jewels with the white and the silver. Very sweet. Also, Road FC. Not every weight division, but I know the lightweight division and the atomweight division. The belts were black with rose gold. So it's like a coppery looking color, like a pinkish color. Because rose gold is like a gold with a lot of high copper content. Those belts looked sweet. Let me see if I can bring up a picture of what I mean. Because Sahi Ham was the road champion, so should be able to bring up a picture. The rose gold belt of Road FC. Here we go. Okay. Let me see if I can zoom in. No. It's hard to see, but just do a Google image search. This belt right here was really nice. The design of it, the overall design wasn't that great, but the rose gold color, the black and rose gold, phenomenal match. Especially for like the ladies at atom weight. I thought this was a great match. So if you're looking for that one, I like that one. I like Deep Jewels with the white and silver. Invicta has nice belts, and the old One Championship belts. Brian Williams says he's for it, meaning Calvillo versus Godinez. Colostrum says I got Loopy all day. I hope they give Yasmin a grappler. How would you? Yeah, I want to see her against a grappler because she's supposed to have like some legit wrestling. So I want to see her tested on the ground. Brian Williams, I love me some Loopy Colostrum. This will be a good fight. They are similar in style. They are, like brawlers who will strike to get into the takedown. They definitely have a similar style. Colostrum says, Brian Loopy got this. Cynthia got 1 foot out the door. We'll see. I thought so, but for her to move back down to strawweight says maybe she doesn't. Easy E. This reeks of the old UFC. Let's push this fighter out the door. Cynthia Calvillo. Bye. LOL. Yeah, it might be. It might be. But I think if they really wanted to push her out the door, they would have offered her another flyweight fight. And honestly, let's be really honest here. UFC doesn't need an excuse to push a fighter out the door anymore. They could release her anytime they want. Brian Williams, I feel sorry for Cynthia. She's lost all her shine. Yeah, she did. Well, she forgot what she does best. She's one of those fighters that starts out good because of her grappling of one area. She starts out good in one area, falls in love with the improvements that she makes in another area to the detriment of the skills that she's best at. So many fighters do that. It's like as soon as a grappler starts learning to strike, especially happens to wrestlers when they start knocking dudes out. A wrestler knocks a dude out, boom. They're not gonna wrestle again. It's so predictable. Sometimes you get these wrestlers in MMA. We're talking about the men here, but overall this applies to everybody. Get these wrestlers, they start getting knockouts, and then they forget that they're wrestlers. And then boom, they start getting knocked out. They start getting beat up. And by the time they remember what they're really good at, what they do best, it's too late. Unfortunately, Josh Koscheck was a great example of that. A really unfortunate example of that. And Josh Koscheck grew up not too far from where I grew up. I met him years ago. The summer after my freshman year, I went to Edinburgh University for a wrestling camp, met Koscheck. Nice guy. And I wore a shirt, said what school. Basically, it didn't say what school I went to, but it had my mascot. So he automatically knew. He's like, where are you from? I told him where I was from. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even know he was from where he was from at the time. But really nice guy. I got to meet him. I think a lot of his being a giant dick was just an act for him in the UFC. But Koscheck was a huge example. Started getting knockouts with his hands, forgot what he does best, and fell off bad. Marcus Bell, I wouldn't count Cynthia out just yet, even though she's on a 4-fight losing skid. Yeah. Can't count it. Yeah. I mean, back down to strawweight, you can't count her out. Colostrum says, Marcus, your last sentence proves the point. Ouch. And Brian Williams is laughing at that. Easy E, it went all downhill for Cynthia when she destroyed JoJo Calderwood on the feet. She thought she was a boxing god then. Yes. That exactly what I'm talking about, Easy E. She beat a striker on the feet, fell in love with her hands. Marcus Bell says, Colostrum, let me refresh your memory. Do you remember when Tisha Torres was on a 4-fight losing skid and almost everyone counted her out? Yeah, that was Yeah, Tisha was on a 4-fight skid, but man, she was on. It was all like good fighters, though. Granted, most of I think all of Calvia's wins are against good fighters too, so or losses rather. Says Colostrum, says Marcus, you don't got to refresh memories, joke, and Marcus Bell knows. All right. Let me pull Twitter back up here real quick. I got to pull up my man Marcel Dorf for the news here, so to confirm this. Pull this pick up. I'm having a real hard time with StreamYard tonight. All right, so Casey O'Neill, King Casey, is back. Just talking about coming back for a while now. You know, she had a real bad knee injury after her last fight with Roxanne Modafferi, but she's back. And it looks like she's going to be taking on Jennifer Maia, per Marcel Dorf on Twitter, at Big Marcel. Great follow. Absolutely someone you should follow on Twitter. Excuse me, at Big Marcel 24. This fight is scheduled for UFC 286 on March 18th. So this was going around reported for a couple days now, but I didn't want to mention anything because it was only coming from Maia, and there was no real confirmation from it yet. But Jennifer Maia versus King Casey O'Neill, UFC 286, March 18th. I like this fight. Both ranked. Was Casey O'Neill ranked at? Let me go back here. O'Neill is currently ranked number 11 at flyweight. Maia is at number 8. This is not going to be a walkover fight for Casey O'Neill. Casey O'Neill has a lot of haters, a lot of doubters. People are saying she's been getting easy fights. Well, hey, Jennifer Maia is not going to be an easy fight. We're talking about a former Invicta champ with multiple defenses. We're talking about a former UFC title challenger, the first fighter in UFC flyweight to give the current champ to take a round against the current champ, Valentina Shevchenko. Now, Maia didn't win that fight, but she was the first fighter against Shevchenko at flyweight to win a round against her up to that point. This is a big step up for O'Neill. Not only is it a big step up, she's moving into the top 10. But she's taking a step up coming off of a serious injury. Serious injury with involving invasive surgery. And she made a quick recovery. Because where's Tapology here? Let me pull up her record here real quick. So O'Neill last fought, she fought in 2021. She fought in February of last year. Defeated Roxanne Modafferi via split decision. Tore her ACL. She was supposed to fight in July against Jessica Ai. Pulled out of that fight with a torn ACL. Underwent surgery. So less than a year after she had surgery on a torn ACL, she's taking on a top 10 fighter. Respect to King Casey. This is not going to be an easy fight for her. This is not going to be an easy fight. Maya's a bit of a grinder. She will grind you down. O'Neal is more of a dynamic fighter. She looks for those big moments, big moves, big actions. Maya's the opposite. She's a grinder. She's more of an attrition fighter. This is going to be a very tough stylistic matchup for O'Neal, coming off of major surgery, major injury. This is very dangerous for O'Neal. So anyone that thinks that O'Neal is all hype, well, we'll see. We'll find out in this fight. This is props to O'Neal for taking this one. And props to Maya for fighting down again. She's been taking some tough fights lately. Colostrum says, I've been watching film. I think Maya is going to 30-27 her. She's stronger and has the better stand-up. I definitely agree that Maya has the better stand-up. She might be stronger as well. Easy E. The only female king I like is King Reina. King Reina. Yeah. She's not a queen. She's a king. Easy E says Maya is going to maul her on the ground. Casey better keep it standing for her sake. Honestly, I think the ground, if she can get Maya down, if Casey lands on top, she's got to land on top. That would be her best chances in this fight against Jennifer Maya. Colostrum, do you think Casey should take a warm-up fight? I do. Yeah. You take a big injury, you come off a big injury, you should take a warm-up fight. I mean, less than a year after serious invasive surgery to repair a ligament in your knee. UFC doesn't really do tune-up fights, unfortunately. And that's why they burn through so many fighters so often. I mean, the UFC is it's a meat grinder for a lot of fighters. And they burn through those fighters. They grind them out until there's nothing left but hamburger meat. And that's the fact that they don't really do tune-up fights is why. Fighters coming off of serious injuries need some tune-up fights. Brian Williams brings up a good point. Casey has a long, powerful jab. Yes, she's going to have to use those long arms and jab Maya and use that to get inside for her takedowns. By the way, just a friendly reminder, please hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Another returnee, allegedly, is Tatiana Suarez. Suarez recently said on Twitter that she's returning in February. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Here's the thing for me about Tatiana Suarez. She's been teasing returns forever. We're going on multiple years now since Suarez last fought. Her last fight, her 8th pro fight, she took a win over Nina Nunes. At the time, it was Nina Ansaroff in 2019. So June of 2019. So 2020, no fight. 2022, 21, no fight. 2022, no fight. 3.5 years, no fight out of Suarez. But she's been doing interviews frequent enough. Always teasing returns sometime soon. And last year, 2022 was the worst. It seems like every quarter, once a quarter, she was doing an interview with either the Schmo or Helen Yee. And, they're a couple. Saying, oh, I'll be back next quarter. First quarter of 2022. Yeah, I'll be back sometime next second quarter. Second quarter comes around. Another interview with either the Schmo or Helen Yee saying, oh, yeah, not this quarter, but I'll be back sometime in the third quarter. Third quarter comes around. Oh, next quarter. Next quarter I'll likely be back. Fourth quarter comes around. Oh, I'll be back sometime next year. if you're not coming back, just shut up. Just say, hey, I'm dealing with serious injuries. I'm not sure when I'll be back. That nothing irks me more than saying, yeah, I'll be back sometime soon, and then it never materializes. It's so irksome, especially when you do it repeatedly. And that's what Suarez did all of 2022. Like I said, at least once a quarter comes a new Suarez interview. Yeah, I'll be back next quarter. Where's next quarter? Where's Suarez? Well, she's doing an interview, another interview saying she'll be back the next quarter. Suarez says she'll be back in February. Most of February is already booked. I think all of February might be booked right now. Where's the fight announcement? Why wouldn't the UFC be so eager to announce that she's finally returning? We're already in January. We are already in January. No announcement yet. Here's the thing. I don't trust her. I don't trust Suarez anymore. Some people say, come on, you got to give her the benefit of the doubt. No. No, I do not. Too many burns. Too many burns from Suarez at this point. She does not get the benefit of the doubt on her return from this channel. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, Suarez is back when she's inside the cage. Until then, she is not officially back. They could announce her next fight tomorrow. And listen, I'll announce that they announced her next fight tomorrow. And then the week of the fight, I'll do a WMMA report and I'll preview the fight. But I'm still going to say she has not officially returned yet. The stance of WMMA now on Tatiana Suarez is that she is only back when she is inside the cage and the door is shut. That's it. Tatiana Suarez does not get the benefit of the doubt from this channel. Period. She can say she's coming back. She can say it's soon. She can say she has a fight booked. Don't care. A lot of people are already talking about it, so I figured, well, I might as well too. Here's the thing. She's not back yet. She is not back until she is inside the cage, standing across an opponent with a referee in between them, and the door is shut. She's not back yet. Where are we at right now? So let's go to the chat. A bunch. MMA Art, welcome to the chat. Says Jennifer Maya's striking kind of looked similar to Valentina's in her last fight. She is taking notes from Valentina's book, I guess. Well, they're both Muay Thai backgrounds. She could be taking notes from Valentina. I wouldn't blame her. Brian Williams says, allegedly. Yeah. Easy E says, yeah, good point. Michael Chandler is going to have serious brain damage from UFC fights alone. Yeah, UFC grinds fighters out. Brian Williams says, hey, MMA Art. Marcus Bell says, February is just right around the corner. Yeah, and time's already going by. We're already on the 5th of January. 25 more minutes, and it'll be January 6th where I'm at. Colostrum says, the female Habib. MMA Art's waving back to Brian Williams. Brian Williams says, right, Marcus, a no-named opponent sounds fishy to me. I agree. Easy talking to Colostrum says, LOL at female Habib. Colostrum says she's been training hard. She's ready for a while. She was waiting for an opponent. Well, we'll see. Like I said, she does not get the benefit of the doubt here. Cool. Easy E. Dana joked about every fighter saying they have a fight in March. Yeah. MMA Art. I hope they surprise us with Tatiana versus Joanna. Tatiana is working hard, though. That's what she says. She's been working hard for, what, 3 years now? Keeps getting injured. I doubt it'll be Joanna. I think Joanna's done. I mean, she literally face planted. Unconscious. She was out before she hit the ground in her last fight. And I think she's done. Colostrum, did you like her fights before she left? Yeah, I liked her fights before she left. She was very strong, very dominant. She's probably going to return at flyweight. Might return at flyweight. I don't know if she'll be as strong at flyweight, though, is the question. Will her skills transfer well to flyweight? Definitely. Will she be as strong at flyweight? That I'm not so sure on. Oh, actually, that's not it. So, final bit of conversation tonight. Let's talk A side versus B side in MMA. Now, normally, you would only see that in boxing. You see fighters jobbing back and forth. I'm the A side. No, I'm the A side. You're the B side. Blah, blah, blah. Referring to like A side, B side refers to, if you're old enough, you might remember cassette tapes had an A side and a B side. And if you're really old, you remember that records also had an A side and a B side. The A side was where all the good songs were, where all the singles usually came from. The B side was for the songs that were album songs that were good, but they weren't the songs that came out as singles. Some albums had good songs on both, but generally the A side was where the meat of an album was. So you hear this in combat sports, mostly in boxing. You'll hear fighters arguing, ahead of the fight about who should make more and who's the A side that should get paid more and who's the B side. Thankfully, in MMA, we don't really have this because fighters are stuck to promotional contracts, and it's ultimately up to the promotion who pays who more or who gets paid more. In boxing, you're not always stuck to a single promotion. You can go back and forth sometimes. You might sign an exclusive agreement with a promoter, but you don't have to. And sometimes, even though you're signed to a promoter, they might lend you out to go fight under another promoter if that's the best way to get you a fight that you need. And then that's when the A side, B side really comes into play. Thankfully, MMA doesn't really have that. Along comes Jillian DeCourcy. Jillian DeCourcy is the current Invicta FC Atomweight champion. Won it off of Jessica Del Boni via first round submission, rear naked choke. So after the Rise in 40 event on Saturday morning, Seika Izawa won. She's currently considered the #1 atomweight in the world, even though she's technically a super atomweight. A lot of talk about, of course, he should go fight her in Ryzen. I think it'd be a good fight. And I think if it's going to happen, personally, my personal opinion is that, yeah, it should happen in Ryzen. It's going to happen in front of a bigger audience, in a big arena. More people are going to watch it than it would happen in Invicta, and the pay would be higher. Easy E says, in MMA, the promotion is the A side. The promotion is always the A side in MMA, particularly in the UFC. Anyway, let's look at this tweet here from DeCourcy. Says, say Jillian versus Seika. Please stop saying Jillian versus Seika in Ryzen. I'm an Invicta Fights fighter and proud of that. Yeah, that's fine. Says, I don't see why it has to be automatically assumed I'd be the one to travel. I love that fight, but I'm no one's B-side that has to consent to everything. How many people watch Invicta? Listen, I love Invicta FC. And I think they've done more for women's MMA than anybody outside of the UFC. But let's be honest here. Invicta is basically a regional promotion. Okay. They've never gone anywhere outside the US. They've never even gone anywhere east of the Mississippi River in the US, if memory serves me. Well, they've certainly never gone anywhere east of Kansas City in Missouri. So Invicta, for all intents and purposes, they might bring in international fighters, but they are very much a regional promotion. Rizin, also somewhat of a regional promotion, being that they're limited to Japan. But let's be honest, Rizin is a much bigger promotion in Japan than Invicta is in the US. Rizin draws audiences from all over the world. Every Rizin event, the talk is huge. There are play-by-play threads on forums. People stay up late at night to watch Rizin. Nobody really does that with Invicta. So for Jillian to say, I'm no one's B-side, by every metric, DeCourcy would be the B-side to Seika Izawa. Let's look at DeCourcy's followers on Twitter. She has 7,345 followers on Twitter. Let's look at Seika Izawa's followers on Twitter. Izawa over double that, 15.6K followers. Let's pull up Instagram. I'm going to take this off the screen. We're going to log back in. I don't know why Instagram is constantly logging me off, but it has been for this entire week. All right. Let's bring Instagram back. Jillian DeCourcy. DeCourcy has 4,434 followers on Instagram. Seika Izawa, the Starflower. Izawa has 10K followers. Again, she has over double the followers on Instagram. So by social media metrics alone, DeCourcy's the B-side. Now, how many people attend an Invicta event? A few hundred at best. I've been to 3. I've been to 3 great events for Invicta. A few hundred people at best. How many people were at Rizin 40 the other night? 45,000, I believe. Regularly gets tens of thousands of live attendees for Rizin. There's, by numbers, which we're talking metrics, we're talking numbers. There is no metric by which Jillian DeCourcy is not a B-side to Seika Izawa. So to say I'm nobody's B-side, well, you're nothing but a B-side compared to Seika Izawa. Now, she's an Invicta Fights fighter, and she's proud of it. That's great. But why? You said, I don't see why it has to automatically be assumed I'd be the one to travel. Why should Seika Izawa, who has more social media followers than you and fights in front of more people for more money, why would Seika Izawa travel to the US to fight on an Invicta card against you? And you're lower ranked in most people's rankings. So you're lower ranked than her. You have less followers. You fight in front of less people. You fight in front of smaller crowds. How are you not the B-side? And listen, I like Jillian DeCourcy. I follow her. I think she's one of the best fighters you can follow on Twitter because she constantly does like play-by-play during UFC events and other MMA events. She's constantly tweeting, giving live analysis as the fights happen. Great follower, great fighter, overall good person. But man, she has big fish in a small pond mentality. That to me is Jillian's biggest fault. She's talked about not wanting to travel before. This isn't the first time she said, I don't see why I should have to travel for other fighters. And a couple of years ago when I was talking about, fighting for UFC to open up atomweight, even then she says, I'm not worried about UFC. I'm worried about being an Invicta fighter. I think Jillian's biggest fault is that she has big fish in a small pond syndrome. I think she's happy being a big fish in a small pond. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she'll prove me wrong. And it seems like she might be willing to. Because she responded to this guy, Kakutsuka. Says, oh, I'd be very willing to fight in Japan. I've said many times I would love to fight there. I love the fans there. I'm just saying that in this particular fight, it doesn't automatically have to be me who travels. But again, so I'll give her credit. She said she is willing. She says that. But at the same time, if you're arguing, why does it have to be me? That's kind of saying the opposite. And again, why should Izawa travel to the US to fight in Invicta, where she'll fight in front of a smaller crowd for less money? So, again, she says she's not the B-side. But by every metric that matters, Jillian is the B-side to Izawa. So, yeah, when people are saying, oh, yeah, let's make it happen in Ryzen, guess what, Jillian? They're trying to get you more money. They want you to go to Ryzen because you get paid more there. And they want you to fight in front of a bigger crowd. People want to see that fight happen on the biggest stage possible. And unless the UFC opens up an atomweight and signs you at 38 years old, not likely. So unless the UFC opens up atomweight and signs you and signs Seika for you two to fight each other, Ryzen is going to be the biggest stage that happens. People want to see you. People want to see the two best atomweights right now, or what are nominally the two best atomweights. Want to see the two best atomweights on the biggest stage possible, in front of the most people possible. That's why they want that fight to happen in Ryzen and not in Invicta. Because it happens in Invicta, a few thousand people are going to watch it on YouTube, and maybe a few thousand more will watch the replays, but that's about it. And don't even bring up that, oh, well, the fights happen on Axis too. The only people that have access are DirecTV, and that's less and less people every day. So nothing against Jillian DeCourcy, but yes, she's saying she's no one's B-side. But when it comes to this fight, potential fight, DeCourcy versus Izawa, she is the B-side. Colostrum asked, your thoughts on Juliana Miller and who she should fight in her debut. She has potential. She has potential, and I'll leave it at that. Other than that, I don't have a high opinion of her. I think she's a nutcase. Colostrum says, I'm the C-side in the crowd watching. Yeah. Colostrum, Invicta fights are free. I give them that. Yeah. I think they're going to have to do something, though. They got to start making money. Easy E, by the way, I'm permanently suspended from Twitter. Elon thought I was a bot. That sucks. That sucks. All right, so that's really all I have for tonight. It is 8 minutes to midnight where I'm at, which is, haven't gone this late since, other than, you know, like a fight companion. So let's get ready to close up shop. So last final words for the chat. If you got them, now's the time to do it. So thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. Remember, if you like the vid, please hit that like button. That helps. That actually does help draw people through the algorithm to the live show. So thank you to everyone who showed up and participated as well. Let me go down through the chat here. Yeah, there's a lot of chats too. Very active chat tonight. I love to see it. So thank you to Easy E, Colostrum, Brian Williams, Mojo, Todd Johnson, new person to the channel too, and new subscriber. So thank you, Todd. Marcus Bell, good to see you in the chat as well. Always welcome. And MMA Art, who I've never seen before. So welcome to MMA Art. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. Hope you all had a good time. Hope it was worth it. You know, I did not plan on going this long. Definitely dragged out the rankings discussion a lot. But, final word for the chat. Brian Williams says, peace out. And Easy E says, have a great night. Gonna check out those belts you told me about. Yeah, one championship, 2 jewels, Invicta, the original one championship, and Road FC. But some of those are going to be hard to find. Anyway, that's all I have for tonight. No fights this weekend that I saw. If I do, I'll update you in the community tab on the channel page. Keep an eye out for those. If not, then probably see you next week at the same time. Till then, everyone, have a good night. Stay safe. See you next time.